Welcome to Get Lit, a series where I explain the mysterious and often elite world of literary fiction. Let's talk about flash fiction. Sometimes referred to as microfiction or short shorts, a flash fiction piece is essentially a very, very short story. The word count can vary, it's usually dependent on where you're trying to submit it, but I would say the general consensus is anywhere from 500 to 1500 words, with the sweet spot being under 1,000 words. Flash fiction aims to tell a complete story, but in order to do this with the word count restrictions, flash fiction aims to tell a complete story. In order to do this with word count restrictions, this means that writers typically tend to focus on a specific moment or a specific feeling. Often, flash fiction pieces have character, conflict, and an arc, but they don't have to necessarily. Most importantly, flash fiction pieces need to do two things. They need to tell a story and they need to have emotional resonance. It's the second piece that Flash really hones in on, and in many ways, it's very similar to poetry because of the constraints that you're working under. You often need to signal or evoke or sort of imply a larger story or a larger phenomenon, meaning, etc. Flash can take many forms in terms of how it looks. It can be anything from a block of text, like a single paragraph, to a 6-word story or a 1-sentence story. Flash fiction is mostly published in literary magazines, anthologies, and in individual writers' collections. And I do want to point out that many Arabic and Spanish speaking writers have really innovated the flash fiction form and have sort of built up the tradition of it. For me, Flash has a sort of wow factor similar to how poetry does, and I attribute this to the emotional resonance, but I also think it has something to do with the element of play or the onus on the reader to make or construct a larger narrative from what's given. So, what are some examples? So, Ernest Hemingway has a very famous 6-word story, For Sale, Baby Shoes Never Worn. Jamaica Kincaid has a really great flash fiction piece called Girl that some people may be familiar with. I know I read it in school. I also want to mention Augusto Monterroso, who has a very famous, very short, 1-sentence long story, El Dinosaurio. And then lastly, but by no means least, we have Zakaria Tamer, who is a Syrian writer, also really big in the flash fiction space.